Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you so much for joining the Ask the Expert for introducing modern admin capabilities to better service Microsoft 365 apps for enterprise. I am Susan Cockrell, and I'm a Senior Program Manager for the Office Insider program. I am here to moderate this Ask the Expert, and I'm here with Amesh Manzukani and Eric, and we are going to answer all your questions about deploying and managing Office 365 apps for enterprise, and we're going to talk about intelligent insights, cloud-based controls, and automated servicing. We've got our two people that are going to be on camera with us, and we also have a slew of people that are in our chat window, including our MVPs, and we have a lot of people here just ready to answer all of your questions for you. So if we can go to the next slide, I want to talk about how the chat window is going to work. We'd love to have you use the chat to ask questions. The questions will appear to all attendees once we approve them by our moderators, and we'd love for you to upvote these questions when you see anything that you'd like to have answered. If you haven't already asked the question yourself, if you see anything else you'd like us to talk to, just use that thumbs up feature. The experts will answer the questions verbally. I will ask Amesh and Eric to answer them, or we'll just use the chat window and we'll answer those as well in the chat. And we'll also have some additional resources that we can use and send to you once the session concludes to learn more. If we can go to the next slide, we may be recording this session, so we just wanted to let you know that. And if you can help us out, please, by not spamming or posting inappropriate comments in the chat and adhering to the Microsoft Code of Conduct, which we have also posted in the chat as well. And you can see this on the next slide as well. So I'm going to go on to introduce our two other people who are experts on this call right now. First, I'll pass it over to Eric to introduce himself. Eric, take it away.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. My name is Eric Wayne. I am one of the M365 Apps Rangers who works directly with our customers to help them migrate to these new insights, these new tools that we're creating, and bring feedback back to our engineering teams to make them even better.
Great. Thank you so much, Eric. And Amesh, can you give us a little bit about your role at Microsoft?
Definitely. Thanks, Susan. Hi, everybody. My name is Amesh Manzukani, and I am a program manager in the Office engineering team, focused on helping organizations like yourselves to better manage the overall deployment, servicing of your Office apps on an ongoing basis. So happy to be here with you, everybody, today, and let's answer some awesome questions.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Let's see if we can take a look and see what questions we might have in the chat window so far. I see just one so far that's been published. When creating a new collection in My Apps portal, how can I add default apps to the new collection, i.e. Office 365 apps like Outlook, Excel? They appear in all apps, which is very cluttered. And is there a way to include those apps in a new collection tab in the My Apps portal? So it looks like one of our chat moderators has given a great list of resources here in docs.microsoft.com. Simon, thank you so much. He says you can check out these two links to learn more. I don't know if we have anything else to add here, because I know that those resources are all going to be very, very extensive. So that's probably the best way for this user to find out everything that they need to know to answer that question. So that's good so far. Does anyone else, please definitely keep coming with your questions. We know that there's probably a lot of information. Hopefully you were able to check out the digital breakout session that was just prior to this, where you were able to learn a whole lot more about all of the new announcements that we've made so far. While we're waiting for any more questions. Oh, I see another question has just come in. It looks like Keyshawn has a question that says, is there another option to deploying Office languages apart from creating dedicated packages for each language? In my company, we made a simple GUI application which allows a user to select their preferred languages. Eric, maybe is this something that you might have an answer to?
Sure. Yeah. So we've got a few options here. We've got some articles which I think some of our texting SMEs will add links to what we call the lean install, where you can make dynamic packages for languages to allow you to make universal packages that you don't have to continue to update over and over again. Now, having said that, there's apart from having your users be admins on the devices, there's no real way for them to go get languages themselves without requesting them through you or requesting them through one of the portals like Intune or Endpoint Manager in the app in the software catalog.
Great, thank you so much. All right, another question we've got is, apart from waiting for the updates to the Office App Center next month, is there any configuration needed on the clients so that we can gather that telemetry data about add-ins, etc.? Maybe Amesh, do you have any insight into this one?
Yeah, I can take that one. So to prepare for waiting for next month to get access to all of these capabilities, there are two things that we would like for you to do. One is to ensure that you have diagnostic data enabled, and so that is being sent over to Microsoft. What that's going to give you, access to your the health data that you just saw in that last session. In fact, that's going to actually start rolling out this coming week. So the sooner you can get that, that will light up, and you'll be able to join the preview for that particular one. To be able to then see all the inventory and data that's coming into the services, as well as to be able to create those servicing profiles that I talked about earlier in that last session. What we would need is a version of either current channel or on the monthly enterprise channel of 2007, and that's going to have all the advanced click-to-run capabilities that are going to be able to send data over. And when we have an auto provisioning capability, you don't need to do anything to turn it on. What it's going to do automatically is it's going to let you whenever a user signs in with their Azure Active Directory account and is associated with your tenant, it will then automatically register the inventory services on the back end, in order to collect that data and make all those components light up. Once we do have the services lit up in your tenant, you will certainly have to go through an onboarding process where you accept the EULA and you'll be provisioned then for the overall services. But from a client standpoint, there's nothing that you would have to do to see inventory. From a servicing profile standpoint, there also is an onboarding feature that you're going to have to go through that enables you to ring fence the number of devices. So we're not just taking 100% of your devices, adding it to the servicing profile, especially for those of you who are running something like Configuration Manager. We want to ensure we're not interrupting any existing processes and that you can choose when to jump onto the servicing profile at your leisure. Back to you, Susan.
Great. I'm not seeing any other questions that have come in so far. So I know I'm throwing it right back to you, Amesh, but I wanted to see if you would want to be able to talk about any new features and preview features that we've announced at Ignite this week, because I know we've had a bunch of announcements that have come out, and I think while we're waiting for some more questions to come in, it would be really fun to talk to the audience and give them just some of the finer points of what we've announced at Ignite.
Definitely. Yeah, we've had some great capabilities that we just announced. One is around getting more insights through inventory. And it's not just about giving you rows and rows of data. We know that can be extremely taxing, especially for any organization that has hundreds and thousands of devices that are reporting in. What we strived for was to provide questions to commonly asked questions. Answers to commonly asked questions. And a number of things that we constantly hear is, whenever I speak to IT admins, we say, "Oh, how many devices that you have?" And we go, and the answer is always roughly around some number. I might have 20,000 devices. I might have 50,000 devices. And then you ask them, him or her, what total number of add-ins. Then they're just like, we're not sure, because a lot of users go out, procure their own add-ins, add them onto the devices. You're not always sure about macros, what devices are running macros. And so we've now been able to curate that information and present it to you in a much simpler way where, we know that we're just tallying all these numbers up and presenting it to you. One thing that I think is a lot of surprising, at least to us, when we see organizations say, yeah, we're current, but then when you look at the data, it starts showing you that there's a lot of stragglers on older versions of Office. And so that really, truly helps organizations understand where those devices are, what applications need to be updated, and how far behind they are, especially when it comes to security vulnerabilities that are exposed on those devices. We're now able to help you understand that, and then be able to then help you correct and take action against those devices to ensure you can bring them up to the latest date. So again, bringing you more insights through all that data that we're able to collect from those individual applications, and then sharing those back to you so you know exactly what's happening in your organization. So that's number one. Number two is around, I was touching on security currency aspect of it. It's now focused more of, showing you a report by being able to see how well your organization is doing, regardless of the update channel that you're on, regardless of the servicing mechanism, whether you're using Configuration Manager or some other third-party tool, or even a file share to be able to make those updates happen. We can tell you how well your security posture is by identifying those individual apps and their version number to know if you are if these apps are secure or not. And then this way you can see those list of devices and the device names and be able to then remediate those by ensuring that they are unsupported. And we also added a little additional tool that helps you measure and track those devices. For example, you can set a goal. For example, Microsoft has a goal that says we would like to achieve 95% of our devices to be secured and updated within the first 5 days of being released on the Office CDN. And that's a goal that we strive towards, every month, every time a new Office update comes along. And therefore, we provide that same capability to you now that you can set the goal that makes most sense for your organization. So those are kind of things that we are definitely providing, in addition to like the serviceability servicing profile that is also coming up to help you automate those and automate your monthly updates and reduce your overall workload from managing those type of updates, especially if you're have a whole bunch of what we call general purpose applications. And what do I mean by that? Mainly, what I'm talking about is devices like my own, right? I have devices that I use Office for its natural intended purposes, Word for creating documents, PowerPoint for being able to share presentations, but I don't have any critical line of business add-ins or macros that I use on those particular devices, which then allows me to, be able to automatically update those. And if my device went down for any reason, I would minimize my overall downtime because I could just pick up another device and get back up and running. It's very different from the opposite of those devices, which are more business essential kind of running. I know that's a kind of a long-winded answer, but those are things that we're really trying to do, because our number one goal is not to only just help you get the latest software, but help you minimize your overall workload that that we know that you're going through on a daily basis. We know you have a lot more other pressing things that you want to be able to take care of, and so our job at Microsoft is to find better ways to be able to help you service it, where you can set it, monitor it, and react to it in a more proactive way than anything else.
And before we roll back to me, I want to quickly ask you one more follow-up question: is what markets will those be available in? Because that's always a follow-up question that comes when we roll out new features. Is we always get those questions: is where will these features be available? So can you follow up with that one?
Definitely, yeah. So we are rolling out our preview, depending on whether it's the app health that's going to start this week, as I mentioned earlier, and then we're going to be following up with the inventory and servicing profile in October. And those are going to be rolling out to all of the general public markets first. We will certainly go and make those available across the globe. for our general markets. We will follow up with our specialty markets and specialty data centers. So that's how we will roll those out in sequence.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. I did see another question that we haven't had answered yet. It's hi. I've checked the feature of service profile settings, exclusion dates, and update deadline. However, when it is allowed to push the update, how to make sure that the update doesn't happen when the end user status is busy or in the meeting. Eric, maybe that one that you might be able to help us with?
I can speak to this a little bit. Yes. So we're getting end users to take their updates is always a challenge. They'll ignore it till the very end, and then when a deadline hits, they will complain to their IT departments that they had no idea this update was coming. Right. So we want to give the end users the flexibility to take the updates when it's convenient for them, yet staying within the compliance window that the IT admin sets. So it's a balance, it's a dance, and we're looking at creative ways to make the updates easier, faster, to less downtime. Like for example, with just click to run in general, rebooting is not required to take your updates. As opposed to the MSI days, things like that. But you still have to either have the end user accept the updates or have the deadline be reached, and then the device will take the update by forcing the update on the device. So we are looking at innovative and creative ways for users to snooze these updates, pause these updates, so they can take them when they want, so they don't take them when they're in a meeting or in a crucial presentation. But again, that is a the never-ending battle of having a people problem versus a software problem.
Great. Great. Thanks. All right. I know that there was another question. It had a lot of responses from our in-chat moderators about diagnostic data. And I don't see any other follow-up questions there. So I think we've got that one covered. Let's see. I'm trying to see if we I think another great topic that we haven't really covered in this one yet, and I'm sorry, I think we'll throw this one back to Amish, over to you, is the new monthly enterprise channel. I'm wondering if you could give a little high-level overview of the monthly enterprise channel, and what you want these users and customers to get out of this from this session.
Definitely. So the monthly enterprise channel is something that, based off the feedback that we continuously heard from organizations of saying that, the semi-annual channel was fantastic, but also, it was fantastic for those business essentials type of applications where you have critical line of business apps, add-ins, or macros being used on those devices, but they were too slow from actually being adopted from getting quality fixes onto those devices. Whereas the reciprocal was the monthly channel at that time, which we recently renamed back to current channel. That one was a little too fast. And in fact, on a given month, you can get 2 or 3 updates at a time, which was just not acceptable for users as well as for IT organizations to be able to manage at that pace. So we were working with organizations to really understand what would be an ideal pace for organizations to be able to update while getting that, confidence and predictability in that particular channel. So you know exactly when it's coming and being able to then react to that accordingly. And so what we came up with was the monthly enterprise channel, where after we've gone ahead and gone through the current channel, we then package that up with any of the latest security updates, and then be able to deliver that predictably on Patch Tuesday every month, which is going to be at least 1 to 2 versions behind the current channel, but much faster delivery than the semi-annual channel. That was the sweet spot that every organization that we talked to said that they wanted to adopt. So if you start looking at organizations where we've had plenty of oil and gas companies, electric companies. We've had a lot of other manufacturing companies adopt this in a much more meaningful way. In fact, even we've seen a number of medical centers being able to do this because they feel like this is the right place for them to manage to be able to get quality fixes, as well as their users are starting to ask for more of these features at a faster basis. So it's not waiting for that 6 or 12-month period, but now being able to trickle those net new features on a monthly basis. So that is what, the intention of the monthly enterprise channel. And now we know you need to have all those set of controls in addition to that. And that's why we're building all the additional services that we've just announced today to help support the monthly enterprise channel, especially that servicing profile, because this way you can set it and then be able to monitor that on an ongoing basis. And then, of course, being able to have the control, as the other person talked about earlier, or asked a question about around the exclusion dates or being able to set deadline. We're going to add additional set of controls to that, which I talked about in the demo, is around being able to restore, snooze, as well as be able to pause and resume those devices as you see fit. So again, providing you with the right set of controls while it's continuously being updated from the Office Cloud Network.
That's great. Thank you. That's fantastic. Okay, I see we do have another question that came in from Keyshawn that says, after we have set up the Office update in the admin center and set dates, to update, how would Office behave when the updates are being installed? Would it be able to do some pre-work silently without disturbing the working user and then actually update when the user closes all Office apps? So Eric, I'm wondering if this would be something that we could throw over to you.
Yep, for sure. So the beauty of Click to Run is it's going to do most of the work. 99% of the work is going to get done in the background, where the user has no idea. If they're not clicking around, they don't know where to go. They're not going to see this, and the update is not going to present itself to the user until all of its pre-staging work is done. So the download portion of the update is a streaming download. If the update is coming down to the device, number one, the user's unaware of this. If they close their laptop and go to the coffee shop, reopen their laptop, that download is going to continue to come down until the download is complete. And again, this is a small download. It's a monthly update. It's a small Delta download. But again, it's just going to keep streaming until the download is ready and staged. At that point, it's going to sit there, and provided the users don't close their Office apps and the deadline has not yet been met, it will not apply itself. So again, that comes back to having a people problem of people not closing, say, Outlook, for example. It will just sit there until the user actually closes all their Office apps or reaches the deadline, or there's also the notifications that will come to the users. Now, these are controllable by the admins, by the IT to determine notifications for these users to say, hey, you have Office updates available, click here, and it will actually close down whatever applications are currently open, apply that update quickly, and then reopen those applications right where you left off. So for the end users, if they want to take the update prior to the deadline, it is a very quick and streamlined way of happening. And they can even accept their update offline once it's done being downloaded. So if they happen to be in a dead spot and don't have internet connectivity, got nothing better to do but take their update at that point, they can, provided it's already downloaded and staged on the device. But beyond that, the user does have to take their action up until whatever deadlines are put in place by the IT staffs to take that update. Otherwise, at that point, the device will take over and say, hey, I'm shutting your apps down for you shortly with the warning message. And then it will force apply that update to ensure compliance and security for that device.
Okay, and I think a sort of related question was also, so following up on that previous question, to confirm, are we still not yet able to pause or postpone updates when a computer is considered quote unquote in use? So I think that's kind of somewhat related to that one, Eric.
Yeah, so I mean, we're able to set deadlines for devices. We're able to set how many days the device can wait to take an update. For example, they're on the monthly enterprise channel, or they're on this predictable update. It's coming to the world every patch Tuesday. We can say, hey, these devices or this device or this whole set of devices, I want you to wait X number of days before you even begin this whole update process, either as a fail-safe to make sure that it is going to work in your environment, or perhaps that time of the month or that quarter of the year for, say, tax folks in a particular month is a very busy time. You do have that control. Now, we're not quite where we want to be yet in terms of saying, okay, this person's Outlook calendar says they have a meeting from 2 to 3 o'clock, and even though we said the deadline was going to be 2:30 on that day, we're going to dynamically move that. We're not at a place like that per se, but you can set up and control your user base to say these users they wait, say, 5 days, for example, before the update process begins, versus these users over here can start right away on Patch Tuesday. And so you can have that level of control there, but more at a broad level as opposed to a dynamic, I want it at 3:05 versus 3:03, unless you go in specifically to that user's device and set it in there, which you can do, but that doesn't really scale.
Great.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that as well. Essentially, what is happening there, what you can do is you have the opportunity to postpone on an update if you have that deadline set up, right? So Click to Run will give you that option where you can do that postponement. But from an admin control, that is not available to you to set any of those configurations. It's something that we're certainly looking into of better ways of handling those kind of scenarios, but at this moment we don't have anything set up for that. So, but yeah, we could certainly look into adding those capabilities in there.
Great. Another one, again, kind of still related to updates. In my organization, we follow our own schedule where we only release Office updates about 3 weeks after Patch Tuesday to all users. We do an internal validation with a small set of power users during said 3 weeks. Would we be able to maintain this update approach in the Office Apps Admin Center? I'm not sure which one of you would prefer to answer that one. So maybe, Amish, do you want to, you're raising your hand. Okay, I'm throwing it to you, Amish.
Yeah, I could take that. Yeah, so the thing with those, right, if you have, like I mentioned, those general purpose type of applications or devices with those applications, we actually don't recommend extensive amount of testing on those, right? And that's kind of what the servicing profile does. Today's version of the servicing profile that we're about to release in preview is going to be able to deliver those out in waves. And what that does, it gives you an opportunity to do two things. One, for us to chunk out who receives what, who can receive those updates in different waves. So we're not just delivering it to 100% of your organization in one time. And that helps you become more network friendly in the event you have some networking constraints, especially if you're using delivery optimization. You can really take advantage of reducing even the packet size even further. And two, what we're going to be doing shortly after we release this preview is actually measuring the success signals of those updates. So as long as we start seeing positive signals, we're then going to continue throughout those waves. If we start seeing a number of crashes for any reason, we can pinpoint down what the errors are and then be able to actually stop those from actually moving forward, help you restore those ones that were affected, and snooze them until that fix is there. Now, everything I just said is something that we are still working on. It's not available today, but that is the direction that we're moving forward to, again, as I mentioned earlier, our entire focus is to help you reduce your overall workload, but also enable you to go much faster. So helping you take that 3-week deployment for post-Patch Tuesday and help you reduce that down. Now, let's say you still want all those capabilities and you're not ready to jump on servicing profile. What you can do in the meantime with the Apps Admin Center is be able to leverage the inventory and security compliance reports to be able to measure how things are going while you continue to do your existing deployment process. But again, keep in mind, our goal here is to help you reduce that window from 3 weeks down to about 1.5 weeks to 2 weeks, ultimately down to a week. So that is kind of what we are doing in that fashion. Back to you, Susan.
Great, thanks. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat window. So I think with that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I wanted to go over the resources that we talked about at the beginning of the thing. And we talked about how we have a tech community space, which is chock full of stuff that we've created for Ignite. You can find it at aka.ms M365 app space. We also have lots and lots of documentation, a lot of which has been referred to in the chat window today at docs.microsoft.com/deployoffice. We have recorded many sessions that you have not even seen yet that you'll find at aka.ms/Microsoft Ignite 2020/Office. So there's a whole bunch of other videos up there about deploying Office, servicing, the Office Insider program. You'll find a lot of other things that you'll definitely want to check out there. And then after Ignite's over, take down all the questions that you have after looking at all these videos and resources, and then come back and you'll find us, all of us that are here today are planning to be on an Ask Us Anything on October 14th, and you'll find the link to that at aka.ms M365 app space. And we'll be there to answer all the questions that you have following Ignite. So you can come back to us and ask a whole bunch more questions at another Ask Us Anything. So we've really enjoyed this Ask the Experts, and you've had a bunch of great questions. Thank you so much for all of your time, and we really appreciate you being here. And we want to say thank you again to all the MVPs and people who helped us moderate the chat window and give such great answers. So thanks again, and we'll see you later.